Hello friends, welcome to Dr. Ossai Physiology Academy, DOPA for short. This is the place where we'll make the learning of physiology easy, exciting, and effective. Thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be doing the part 2 of this topic, acid-base regulation. So just a quick recap. You know, the body needs to maintain a balance in the pH. Why? Because of enzymes. Enzymes are made up of proteins and they are very delicate substances. You know, enzymes, they help to speed up, catalyze chemical reactions. And we said that all physiological processes are as a result of chemical reactions. Behind every physiological process, there is a chemical or a biochemical reaction, which is catalyzed by enzymes. So that's how vital enzymes are. So enzymes don't joke with pH. So the body needs to maintain that pH so that it will be favorable for enzymatic reactions. So that's the principle behind all of this. So we talked about the 3 lines of defense: the extracellular, the body fluid mechanism, then the respiratory. So today, in this part 2, we're now going to be focusing on the renal mechanism, which we say is slower, but it's more powerful. Okay? So, the renal mechanism. The renal mechanism. Okay? The renal buffer mechanism. So, first of all, there are 2 ways in which the kidneys try to maintain acid-base balance. Number 1 is that it helps to reabsorb bicarbonate. Reabsorption of bicarbonate. Okay? And number 2, it helps to excrete fixed hydrogen ion, fixed acid. So what do we mean by this? Remember that during normal glomerular filtration, bicarbonate is part of what is filtered. But because it's so important, remember that it's the major extracellular fluid buffer. So that's why it's so important, and it needs to go back into the blood. So it needs to be reabsorbed. But bicarbonate cannot be reabsorbed directly. It needs a special indirect means of reabsorption. So that's what the kidney does. The kidney helps in the reabsorption of this bicarbonate so that it can go back to where it belongs to do its work of maintaining acid-base balance in the extracellular fluid. Okay? But this, like we said, cannot be reabsorbed directly. So what happens? What happens is that the normal transport mechanism of sodium, remember there's what we call the sodium hydrogen exchanger. So this, let's assume, let's draw a cell. Okay? This is a tubular cell. So this side is the tubule. Okay, so this side now is the basolateral membrane. Okay, so this side is the one that is facing, here is the tubule. So what happens is that this exchanger takes sodium in and at the same time takes hydrogen out into this tubule. So you now have hydrogen here. Are you paying attention? So already through filtration, bicarbonate is filtered and it's here. So this exchanger takes hydrogen ion into this place. So what happens? It combines with this to form carbonic acid. which now dissociates into CO2 plus water. So this CO2 plus water now easily diffuse. So inside here, you now have CO2 and water. Okay? So this CO2 and water, they now recombine again to form this carbonic acid, which now dissociates into bicarbonate and this. So this one again now, so the process now repeats itself. So you now have your bicarbonate back from here. Then you now have your hydrogen, which now goes in order to bind with another bicarbonate. You see how it goes? So this is how it works. So this all takes place in the kidney in order to reabsorb this. So this is one of the ways in which the kidney play a role in maintaining by helping to reabsorb bicarbonate. So the next one is excrete fixed hydrogen ion or acid. What do we mean by fixed? Now we have a volatile acid as represented by CO2. Remember, whenever CO2 increases, acidity increases. But this is volatile in the sense that it can easily be expired through the respiratory system. All right? But fixed acid cannot be expired. Those kinds of acid are acids that are produced from catabolism of proteins. You know, proteins are made up of what? The smallest unit is amino acid. Amino acid. Okay? So proteins are very, very important common sources of acid in the body. If you eat too much protein, your acidity level will increase. This is just a digression. Why most fruits are important sources of alkalinity. A lot of fruits are alkaline. So just for you to know, because it's an important health lesson. So don't eat, you're eating only fruits, you're not eating proteins. There will be a lot of alkalinity that your body has to deal with. You're eating a lot of meat, it contains a lot of protein, always eating meat, you're not taking fruits. You are bombarding your system with a lot of acids. All right? So know that for balance. So fixed acid are acids that cannot easily be expired. They are product of catabolism of proteins, amino acids. So that means they must leave the body through the kidney. That's what it means. They must leave the body through the kidney. So if they are too much, you have too much of acid, what happens? That means the body will try to secrete hydrogen ion, more of hydrogen ion, in order to excrete it. But then something happens. All right? So we're going to talk about how it happens, because they are what we call tubular buffers that will have to trap this hydrogen ion. If not, something dangerous can happen after this break. So welcome back. So we said that this fixed acid, when it's too much, maybe you took a lot of proteins, you ate a lot of meat, you went to a party and you ate meat, you're going to have a challenge in acidity. But your body will not allow the acidity to increase. So what will your body do? Look at what happens. This acid is now going to be secreted into the tubules. Remember, we said when we were talking about tubular reabsorption and secretion, that every part of the nephron, hydrogen is secreted in every part except the thin loop of Henle. Okay, so hydrogen is always secreted. So, but the thing is that you now have so much hydrogen secreted that the hydrogen now is now far more than the bicarbonate. Do you understand? So when bicarbonate is now exhausted, because the purpose of this hydrogen here is to bind bicarbonate, of which about 90% or so is at the proximal tubule. So its purpose mainly is to bind bicarbonate so that bicarbonate can be reabsorbed. So that's the purpose of this. But now you now have so much excess of this, excess of hydrogen ion, and this is limited. This, it has finished binding the one, and excess is still left. So what do you think this will now be doing? This will now be increasing the acidity of the tubular fluid. And as it's increasing the acidity of the tubular fluid, it will affect this process of H secretion. You know, the process of H secretion is a metabolic process. It's usually a metabolic process, either with exchanger or with what they call proton pump, hydrogen ATPase. All right. So that's how hydrogen is secreted. It's a metabolic process. So the high acidity will stop this metabolic process because, of course, there are enzymes that are involved in all metabolic processes. So when it stops the further secretion of this, what do you think will happen? That means more hydrogen ion will now be increasing in the extracellular fluid, which also causes problem. So what do you think should now be done? You now need what is known as tubular buffers. Okay? So the excretion of this fixed acid is done by tubular buffers. So when they buffer it, you excrete an acidic urine. Let's see how it happens. There are two major tubular buffers. Phosphate buffer system and the ammonia buffer system. So this phosphate system, inorganic phosphate, is the same with the one we mentioned. Check the part one of this lecture. You see that, so that we don't waste time. It's the same thing. The only difference is that the phosphate in the extracellular fluid is very little. But when it comes to the tubules, this phosphate mechanism happens at the distal tubule and collecting ducts. Why? Because at the proximal tubule, all through before you get to the distal, a lot of water has been reabsorbed and some phosphate too. But you still have about 15% of phosphate. But because a lot of water has been reabsorbed, the concentration of phosphate now increases towards the distal tubule. So it now makes it a very powerful, effective buffer. All right? So the phosphate, let's just to remind you, the phosphate system is this, okay? So when hydrogen ion is added to this, it gives you this. So that excess hydrogen ion, because you ate an acidic food that is secreted and it's left there. So instead of increasing the acidity of the tubular fluid, it now binds to this to give you this. So it doesn't now change the pH of the tubular fluid so much. So this is now excreted in the urine. It will make the urine acidic. So you can also call this the acidification of urine. So the tubular buffers, they lead to the acidification of urine. So let us talk about ammonia. So how does ammonia work? The same principle. So the ammonia system operates more in the proximal tubule. If you remember very well, when we talk about substances that are secreted in the proximal tubule, we mentioned ammonia. Okay? So it's like the same exchange. When sodium goes in, it takes ammonia out. It's an antiporter that go in the opposite direction. So it's a secondary active transport system. Okay, so ammonia, NH3, that's ammonia. So when ammonia enters this tubule, the excess of hydrogen that is left because of too much acidity in the blood and they are secreting excess hydrogen, the excess there, instead of making this tubular fluid very acidic and halting this metabolic process and all of that, it now binds the hydrogen ion to give you what? Ammonium. Ammonia. Ammonia. This is ammonium. Okay? Ammonium salt. It could be ammonium chloride or whatever. All right? So this is how it happens. Ammonia bind. So it's very straightforward. So you now excrete that ammonium. And the thing is that this ammonium is impermeable in the tubules. The tubules cannot absorb ammonium. So it just remains there in the tubular fluid, which is excreted in the urine, making it also acidic. So instead of making your body fluids acidic, it will rather make the urine acidic, but not as acidic as when it is left free as hydrogen ion. Okay, so you understand? It's not the same thing. When it's left free as hydrogen ion, to make it very acidic, but when it binds to these buffers, it makes it a little bit acidic. And the acidity, the maximum acidity the tubular fluid can take is 4.5. Anything below this halts all metabolic processes. But when they bind to those tubular buffers, it doesn't get as low as 4.5. So this is the acid-base regulation system. So a brief recap, talked about the extracellular and intracellular system, which is part of the body fluid first line of defense. Talk about the second line of defense, the respiratory mechanism, which is related to bicarbonate mechanism. Increase in CO2 increases acidity, and then, but CO2 is now expired. But through activation of the respiratory center, the respiration increases and it flushes it out. Then the third one is the renal mechanism. Takes in this one to maintain this in the extracellular fluid so I can perform its role. Then the main thing here is now the excretion of fixed acid. This combines with those tubular buffers, the phosphate and the ammonia system, to now give you acidic urine. So this is how the body maintains through those three lines of defense, the renal one being the most powerful. Right? So it's very easy. So in the next lecture, we're going to be dealing with something related to maintenance of extracellular fluid osmolarity. That's another aspect. Okay? And the kidney plays a role in that. So see you in the next video. But before we go, remember that these things we have discussed, I've written a book on renal physiology and other aspects of physiology. So you can just look at the description box, download the book there, soft copy, Okada books, and just go through it for a better grasp of these things. Thank you.